They called her Barbie in a flight suit, said she was too small, too pretty, too soft. Even the elite Navy SEALs joked about it behind her back. What was Command thinking, assigning a girl like that to pilot evacuation missions in an active war zone? But here's what nobody saw coming. When those same SEALs were pinned down, bleeding out, and counting their last rounds in enemy territory, it wasn't the tough guys who saved them. And what this 5'3" blonde pilot did next? It broke every rule in the military handbook. But you'll never guess why she did it. Before we dive into today's incredible story, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I love connecting with viewers from around the world. And if you're new here, make sure to hit that subscribe button, because we share the most incredible true stories you've never heard before. Her name was Lieutenant Avery Cross, barely 5'3", blonde ponytail, eyes like a Disney character. The first day she stepped onto the forward operating base, guys were lining up to offer her snacks, nicknames, even dates. She just smiled, nodded politely, and walked straight to the flight line. Didn't argue, didn't defend herself, didn't need to prove anything to anyone. All the hardened soldiers saw was a girl who looked like she belonged in a college lecture hall, not a combat zone in the middle of nowhere. But everything they thought they knew about Lieutenant Cross, it was about to be shattered in the most dramatic way possible. Because Operation Black Lantern was coming, and it would change everything. Tension builds. The mission briefing seemed routine, the kind these Navy SEALs had executed dozens of times before. Simple in and out. Infiltrate enemy territory. Sabotage a weapons cache. Extract before dawn. What could go wrong? But the moment they hit the ground, something felt off. The minute they blew the doors on that weapons facility, every instinct these battle-hardened operators had developed over years of combat started screaming the same thing. This is a trap. They'd walked straight into a hornet's nest they never saw coming. Enemy fighters positioned in the hills. Heavy artillery, RPGs trained on their position. The radios went to static. Their extraction window slammed shut before they even reached the fallback point. And then came the sound that haunts every soldier's nightmares. The sharp, terrifying crack of enemy rounds ricocheting off rock. Smoke filled the air. Someone was screaming. One of their teammates, Ramirez, went down with a leg wound. The medic was desperately trying to stop the bleeding. These elite warriors, men who had faced death 100 times, found themselves in a situation they'd never encountered before. They were completely boxed in, running low on ammunition, with no air support. Command's radio crackled through, "Help is coming." But none of them expected help to arrive in the form of the one person they'd spent weeks doubting. And what she was about to do, it wasn't just dangerous, it was completely against direct orders. Through the wall of smoke and tracer fire, they heard it first, the deep, rhythmic thunder of rotor blades cutting through the night air. Then they saw her, a lone Black Hawk helicopter, hovering just above the tree line. No escort, no backup, no cover whatsoever, just one aircraft, and the pilot everyone had written off. She radioed in like it was just another Tuesday. "SEAL team, this is Valkyrie. I've got eyes on you." That voice, calm, clear, completely unshaken, and somehow, hearing those words steadied these elite warriors more than anything else had in the past hour. But here's what makes this story absolutely incredible, and what those SEALs didn't discover until later. Lieutenant Avery Cross wasn't supposed to be there. Command had grounded all non-combat evacuation operations due to the extreme risk level. Every pilot on base had been given explicit orders: do not fly. So how was she in the air? She had stolen the helicopter. When Command told her to wait for safer conditions, her response was simple: not when they're dying. What happened next defies everything you think you know about courage under fire. This 5'3" pilot, the one everyone called too soft for combat, flew blind through enemy radar, skimming just 40 feet above hostile territory in complete darkness. No gunner, no co-pilot, no backup whatsoever. Just her, a map burned into her memory, and sheer determination. She brought that Black Hawk down in a hot landing zone, under active enemy fire. The SEALs ran toward her aircraft, as bullets cracked past their helmets, expecting to see her panicking, maybe abandoning the controls. Instead, she never even left the cockpit. She held that helicopter steady while they dragged two wounded men into the bay, taking shrapnel hits to the tail section and a direct hit to her windshield. The aircraft was literally being shot apart around her. She didn't even blink. The second that Black Hawk lifted off with all the SEALs aboard, something extraordinary happened. These hardened warriors, men who had seen every kind of horror combat could offer, later described it the same way. It felt like resurrection, like we'd been dead, and someone gave us breath again. The flight back to base was completely silent, not because they were in shock from the firefight, but because none of these elite operators could find words to explain what they had just witnessed. When they landed, medics swarmed the aircraft. Command was already waiting, and they were not happy. Lieutenant Cross stepped out of that shot-up helicopter, her face streaked with soot, helmet tucked under her arm. She didn't offer explanations, didn't make excuses, didn't say a single word. She just walked straight through the chaos like she'd done it 1,000 times before. And for the first time in his military career, the SEAL team leader, a man with over a decade of combat experience, found himself saluting someone younger than him. But the story doesn't end there. Command tried to throw the book at her. They threatened suspension, demotion, even court-martial. After all, she had directly disobeyed orders, stolen military equipment, and violated multiple safety protocols. But then something unprecedented happened. Word of what Lieutenant Cross had done spread like wildfire, from base to base, unit to unit, through every branch of the military. And when the brass realized what kind of public relations nightmare they were about to create by punishing the pilot who had single-handedly saved an entire SEAL team, they quietly backed down. Because you don't court-martial the person who did what everyone else said was impossible. Resolution. Today, no one calls her Barbie anymore. They call her Valkyrie. And when drill instructors tell new recruits about real courage, not the Hollywood version, but the kind that shows up when everything is on the line, they tell them about Lieutenant Avery Cross, the girl who looked too soft for combat, but stole a Black Hawk helicopter to save the team who had doubted her. Because sometimes the fiercest warrior in the room doesn't need to prove anything. She just shows up when it matters most. What do you think? Could you have made the choice Lieutenant Cross made, knowing it could end your career? Let me know in the comments below. And if this story gave you chills like it did me, smash that like button and subscribe for more incredible true stories that will restore your faith in human courage. I'll see you in the next one.